Hello and welcome to The Gist. I'm your host, Chris Vetrano, here every week to break down all the things that are happening in pop culture and interviewing the people that make it pop. On today's show, we are recapping the Traitors Season 2 finale with none other than the woman who caused chaos, dropped strategy, and ultimately won the entire thing. That's right, Trishelle Cannatella is here to talk about her 22-year run in reality TV and spill some behind-the-scenes secrets and spilling some tea on some future plans that you will only hear on The Gist. So I'm so excited to get to it. But before we do, a couple of things for the folks that missed the finale. Let's do a quick recap because it was one of the most intense and surprising episodes of reality TV in the history of TV. Are you with me? There were twists and turns up until the very last few seconds on screen, and it's still so thrilling. But quick kind of recap so that we're setting the stage for this incredible sort of conversation with Trishelle. We start off, Kate is our only traitor left. And first of all, Phaedra exits. We find out that Phaedra is in fact, this faithful traitor. But she makes her exit. Then that night, Sheree gets murdered. So, of course, everyone knows that there is still a traitor among them. And that's where I think that we made a mistake, because I actually think that producers should have given Kate the option to murder or recruit. Because I think had she recruited, there would have been more people that may have thought that Phaedra was our last one. I don't know that we have another traitor among us. And even if there was, at that point, there would have been two, and it would have given the traitors an upper hand. But I don't know. So at this point, everyone knows that there's a traitor. MJ's pretty sure that it might be Sandra. Kate goes with that. She's running with the Sandra idea. She's like, now I've just got to flip CT. And because Trishelle and CT had sort of vowed that they were going to vote Kate out. Trishelle saw sort of Kate's response to Phaedra at the round table and was like, yeah, I think Kate must be the other traitor in the room. Sandra was kind of onto that as well. So we get to the final round table. They do their final mission, which is, amazing to watch them all do this mission together, knowing what's on the line. Then they get to the banishment round table, and it was really going to go either way because Trishelle and CT had this alliance to vote Kate. Kate had sort of game played a little bit to kind of see who she could get to vote Sandra. And it was unclear where it was going to go. But ultimately, CT switches his vote last minute and votes for Sandra, which left Trishelle gooped and gagged. She was very surprised when he turned on their original plan to vote Kate out, which comes back later. And so ultimately, we vote Sandra out, find out she's a faithful, and they head to the fire pit. So we've got MJ, CT, Trishelle, and Kate at the fire pit, which, by the way, Sandra went online and said that there was a smokers alliance and it was the four of them. And that's why they ended up in the finale or at the final pit and why she got voted out. We'll ask Trishelle about that in a few. But the four of them are there. Again, MJ now knows that there is, she said, and I think the rest of them did too, that there must be a traitor still because Sheree got murdered. So MJ, CT, and Trishelle all vote to banish. Kate votes to end the game. I think that was her tell. She probably should have gone to banish. But everyone was like, well, Kate wants to end the game. So she obviously wants to take the prize money. So everyone votes her out. That was not super surprising at that point. But now we have only faithfuls left. So everyone has to decide, are we voting to banish or are we voting to end the game? MJ votes to end the game. She's like, I'm 100% that the rest of the people here are faithful. Then the surprise is that Trishelle and CT both vote to banish again. And jaw on the floor. Oh my gosh, what a brilliant move they just had. They are voting MJ out so that the two of them make it to the final to split the prize money together. And, we obviously feel horrible for MJ in this moment, but we're all just like, oh my gosh, what a move. They ended up sort of being the traitors among them. But then we go to the banishment, and MJ votes for Trishelle because she's like, that's who Kate voted for. So maybe that was like some strategy there. And CT votes for MJ. And then Trishelle, who we think is going to vote for MJ, turns her board around and she's voted for CT because he changed his vote at the round table, and that made her feel uneasy, like she was getting played. And so she voted him, but now we're at a stalemate. So they all have to give their sort of, they have to plead their case as to why they're a faithful one last time and then vote again. Well, at this point, Trishelle is convinced that CT did not play her, but they can't end the game. So they do have to now vote to banish someone. So, of course, CT and Trishelle vote MJ out. She is, I mean, distraught, upset, and she had a lot to say at the reunion about it. I mean, she's upset, guys, and understandably so, but it is a game, and ultimately it was this wonderful moment. We were left with our two challengers who have been together for so many years, winning the Traitors season 2, and it was amazing. So it was, like I said, one of the greatest moments in television history. It was just such an incredible, game, but episode of twists and turns, and I couldn't have loved it more. But you know what I do love more is my next guest. She is the queen of reality TV. I mean, reality TV royalty, Trishelle Cannatella. Welcome to The Gist. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That was a nice introduction.
Well, you have been doing this for 2 decades, more than 2 decades.
A long time.
And you graced our screens. I remember watching every week on Real World Las Vegas when you joined our lives. Did you ever dream that you would still be on these reality shows this long later?
So in 2002, when I did The Real World, I mean, this was when there was only a couple reality shows out at that point.
Right.
I just didn't know. I didn't realize that I would be recognized. I didn't know where this would take me. I thought that I could just, go back to Mississippi and live and finish my last semester of college and be normal. So I had no clue it was going to take off in this way. So especially not 20 years later.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been such a ride. And, you took like a few years hiatus, but you've really just been in the public eye ever since. And you kind of, I mean, Real World was kind of the first reality show. And now there's obviously competition shows, and there's, The Bachelors and the Housewives and all of these different shows. From your perspective, how has reality TV changed from then to today?
So whenever I was first on The Real World, it was different because I remember that my behavior on the show, which was me, a 21, 22-year-old, we were all partying and getting drunk, and like I kissed a girl in a hot tub, and then I dated my roommate, and I didn't realize that that was like so taboo. And I just thought that's what like most people did in their early 20s. You're just turned 21, 22, like that's what you do. And so people didn't receive it very well at all. Now it's like people don't care. They are doing all kinds of things on television now, and it's totally acceptable. And you don't get like, sexually shamed or anything like that anymore. I wish that people had the mentality now that they did back then, I wish it was different.
Well, and also social media didn't really exist then. And so now everybody has a voice and everyone has an opinion. And, so I imagine that that's also got to be a little bit different. Whereas like before you were doing all these things. And of course, like the news media sort of attacked you in various ways because of like how you were portraying yourself, because like you said, it was kind of the first of its kind.
Yeah.
But now it's like, I imagine that you get people from both sides of the world sort of, or both sides of these views coming at you, even on things like the Traitors. I know that people came at you about like they felt like you had plotted against MJ in some kind of way. And there's other people that are super supportive. So do you feel like that community makes you feel like more welcome in this reality TV space, or did you prefer it kind of before the viewers got so involved?
I everybody deserves to have an opinion, and so that's what's beautiful about reality TV. And I find myself judging other people, even though I was in that position and am in that
Right,
position. But
right.
you just do it. That's the fun thing about tuning out, watching a show, and you get to be the person that judges somebody else a little bit, you know.
Yeah,
But for me personally, whenever I do it, like if I'm watching The Bachelor or whatever, any type, The Housewives, anything, I can
yeah,
judge, but it stays between like me, my dog, and my husband on the
right,
couch. I don't like go on social media and attack people, and I think that's the
right.
difference. Back
Yeah.
in the day, there was no social media. It was MTV message boards. That's how old I
Yeah.
am. Okay, and then they used to send us the show on a VHS tape. I'll stop. This is like too much. I'm aging
I know.
myself.
Well, no, I'm right there with you, but yeah, there may be
Mhm.
some people that we have to explain the VHS, so
Mhm.
we'll let them use Google
Yeah,
for that.
Google
But
it.
yeah, so you get the call because I know you are a reality TV fan as well,
Yes.
but you get the call for Traitors. Had you already seen season one, or did you watch it? Like, how did you prepare?
Oh yeah, I had seen season one. I'm a huge Cerie fan. I just think
Hmm.
she's brilliant on Survivor. The multiple times she's played, so it was just interesting because I was like, "Wow, I'm going to be in that category with like Queen Cerie. Cool. Of course, I'm going to do
Yeah.
this show." And it just sounded like something so different. And I love strategy games. I love card games. I love board games. I love Clue. I love murder
Hmm.
mystery. So I was
Yeah.
like, what a vibe to be like be in a castle in Scotland with all these amazing personalities. And so I couldn't wait to do it.
Yeah. And I know that you also, have all of this experience playing poker.
Yeah.
You even were on Bravo back in the day with Andy Cohen, a show that he did around your poker career. Do you
Hmm.
feel like that like helped in sort of spotting traitors in the castle, or how do you feel like your experience in gaming sort of gave you an upper hand in the castle?
Absolutely. I think poker was a huge, me playing poker was a huge advantage. I just come in with a different mindset. I'm looking for tells to see if people are lying or,
Right.
and a lot of playing poker is how people perceive you at the poker table. So, I was the kind of person who was always scared about getting murdered, but I had no
Hmm.
problem letting people know that because then they knew that I was a faithful. It's like,
Hmm.
why this girl would obviously not be a traitor because she's so scared of being murdered that we
Yeah.
know she's not. So actually, myself, probably Sheree and MJ were the three people that everyone was like, yeah, they're definitely a faithful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it was so, you were so clearly faithful throughout the show. And, you also, for the most part, spoke your mind. I think like it took you a little bit because you got kind of in the crosshairs with Peppermint in the beginning.
That was
And
not
so,
the plan. I wanted to be quiet and low key, and that was very high key and
yeah,
yeah, that was
y-
unexpected.
you got kind of thrown into some drama right away. But,
Yeah.
but then you became sort of the voice of the faithfuls, from my opinion. I know that the Peter Pals is what they called them, and you guys were kind of like this faithful group. But you seem to always be right on for people and kind of knew what was going on. Like when Phaedra's name first came up, they obviously, this is editing too, but they go right to you and you
Mm.
instantly clocked it. And you were like, oh, like Dan just called her out because she's a traitor.
I
And you
mean,
were on,
oh, sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, go.
I was going to say it was a light bulb moment. Like they should have just put a huge light bulb that went off above my head whenever he said her name. Because I watch reality TV, like you just said,
Mhm.
I rewatched Dan's season, like not too long before I got asked to do the Traitors, just randomly because I wanted my husband to see it. And I was like, this is the best ever. It's whenever he's giving the funeral speech on Big Brother. It's just
Mhm.
iconic. And so
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with Dan. And so whenever he said Phaedra's a traitor, I was like, she's a traitor.
Wow.
This is a game move that Dan would pull out of his. It's like a Hail Mary to save himself. And if we had voted her out that night, it would have pretty much absolved him in the game for at least another 3 weeks, maybe two
Right.
to 3 weeks, and then he could have come up with another plan. So I
Yeah.
knew right away when he said that. I think my mouth fell open, like,
Yeah, it did. Yeah, you were shocked. So I'm so curious because, Parvati, I think, went for her Hail Mary and tried to recruit Peter.
Mhm.
I felt like they should have recruited you. But I'm so curious, because you were faithful, would you have accepted their invitation to join the Traitors and be the badass ladies?
Okay, I 100% would have accepted it. In
Yes.
fact, I think that I kind of like planted seeds in the castle just in case someone was a traitor. I was like, I mean, I please recruit me. If anybody's a traitor in this room, I will do it. I
Uh,
wanted to be a traitor. However, looking back on it, it looked like the most tough job. Like people were
yeah.
really struggling. And I've said this recently, like if Queen Phaedra, who is
Hmm.
so good at those round tables, if she was kind of cracking toward the end, I wouldn't have lasted very long as a traitor. I mean, it looked like it
Oh,
took its toll on a lot of people,
yeah.
especially someone like Parvati, because that's just not in her nature. She teaches yoga and she's just a different mentality. So to be a traitor
Right.
is just like, whoa, yeah.
Yeah, I was really hoping. I mentioned to you before we started recording, but that I reached out. I said, okay, I'm going to pick one person from the cast that I want on the podcast this season, and it was Trishelle.
Oh,
And
thank
we had to
you.
wait until you were voted off. So every week I was like, okay, this is it, because she's now on to Phaedra, and so they've got to like kill her because she's going to
Yeah.
expose them all at this point.
Yes.
And then I was like, or they need to recruit her. And so I was like hoping that they were recruiting you. And then when they went for Peter and he didn't take it, I was like, yeah, that was a mistake. It should have been Trishelle.
Yeah, I agree. I would have loved to have been recruited, but now I think it worked out for the best because I probably wouldn't have made a great trader. But I thought I was going to be murdered. Well, in the very beginning, I thought I was going to be murdered a lot. But toward
Yeah.
the end, they should have murdered me. Why was I there? And I think I have to just thank Phaedra for that. I think that she just threw me a couple bones and was just like, we'll leave her alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also because you were so vocal, I think traders sometimes are like, well, if they're pointing the finger at me, I don't want to kill them,
Yeah.
because then it like kind of is a tell as well. So I think that you played it so well by being
Mhm.
vocal that you also sort of protected yourself through that as well, which was
That's the thing about this game is you have to learn how to adapt with the game. It's constant adaptation because your best friend in the house could be murdered or banished,
mhm,
and then people start, and if you're close to them and they're banished or murdered, whatever, I mean, people start to look at you, and it's just you just have to constantly just switch up your game. And I'm kind of
mhm,
used to that because I've done challenges and because I've done previous
right.
shows like this.
Yeah. And so you obviously make it to the finale, and it was a very, intense. I mean, one of the best reality TV episodes of television that I've ever seen. It was so intense. And, we're sitting there. I think it was like going in, I think it was pretty obvious that Kate was going to get exposed because,
Hmm.
as MJ said, like there was someone that got killed. So they knew there was a traitor left.
Hmm.
And uh so I think no one was really surprised when you guys put the red fire in for the first round and voted Kate out. But then when your fire turned red in the second round, I think as viewers we were like, oh no, they're getting rid of MJ. And because then CT did, and then when you exposed that you wrote CT's name, I mean, it was just like the twist just kept on coming. But I know that you've said in other interviews that when you saw CT's face, you knew that he was not a traitor.
Yeah.
But what happened when he put his fire turned red? What did you think his strategy was then, if you still thought he was a traitor?
I thought maybe I don't know what I thought. I thought maybe he was gonna think that MJ was, or I don't know. I hope that it wouldn't have been me. But at that time, I was sort of like he had just kind of switched the vote up with me
Right,
from
with Sandra.
Sandra, and so I was like, oh, is he turning on me now? I wasn't exactly sure, and yeah, so that made me a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
But at that point, my mind was like, I'm 100% sure that MJ's a faithful. I'm like 98% sure on CT just because Sandra was planting seeds in my head that he was my traitor angel.
Mm,
I love that term, by the way, because it's
yeah.
a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
And so so I in my mind I was like, okay, CT's tricky. I've seen him do games. He's very intelligent. He's strategic.
Hmm.
And so I was like, wow, good move. Like and then when I saw his face and I was like, okay, he's obviously not a traitor. I still needed to hear it come out of his mouth
Yeah.
because when I, till the very end, I don't know if you saw me, I started crying. I crouched
Yeah.
down in a ball because I was like so relieved. I
Yeah.
wasn't 100% sure. I was like 99% sure. But
Yeah.
MJ, look, I tried to take her with me at the end because I had doubts on CT. I never doubted her. Never.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that people online had speculated that UNCT had that planned, but I think that they're missing that you voted CT, and had MJ suspected
Yeah.
CT,
I don't
the game would have
understand
ended.
how people can miss that. Why would I plan that before and then not
Yeah,
just immediately get rid of her? It's not necessary to do that.
yeah,
It's just interesting because you know what? Everyone has their own idea on strategy and gameplay. Everyone had a different strategy. Like Peter's strategy, he was like picking fake fights with Kevin, and
hmm,
he was really hardcore,
yeah,
maybe to his own detriment because people were like, why are you doing all this? It's too much. And so, CT had another strategy of sort of like going with both sides, like being like in the middle.
right,
My strategy was just, if you think somebody's a traitor, keep calling them out until they get voted out.
yeah,
So I think online people, it's hard unless you're in the game. And it's easy for people to say, like, obviously they're not traitors because you guys are told on episode 1 within the first 20
yeah,
minutes of the show who's a traitor. We
yeah,
don't know. And
right,
so, and the show does a really good job of keeping all this separate.
yeah. Yeah, it was interesting because I know that Sandra came out in a video online that she alleged that there was this like smokers alliance, and called out you and CT and MJ and Kate,
Yeah.
and said, "Well, look, they ended up at the fire pit together, and they had these secret conversations that producers never captured." But I'm assuming that would never play. I feel like the producers would never
Never.
let you guys do that, but I'm assuming that is how you feel, that was.
They want every second of game talk on camera.
Yeah,
They absolutely would not ever let us do that. We couldn't go to the restroom by ourselves. I mean, it was honestly, the
yeah,
integrity of the game was kept very well, and I
yeah.
cannot stress that enough.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's because people do look so shocked when somebody finds out that they're a faithful or a traitor, and when they reveal
Yeah.
it. Everyone like truly looks, it's not just acting that you guys are like, "Oh, we knew it," or because I've seen things online where people speculate like, "Well, some of these people are so close, they probably tell each other like, or they
No.
go
Oh
in
my
with
God. You
alliances."
would probably. I mean, I assume that you get kicked off of the show for that. I
Yeah.
assume.
Yeah.
I honestly, you go all the way to Scotland. You're so excited to play this game. Everyone was so into it. Even the Housewives, very competitive. I
Yeah.
loved it. Everyone was in, and they're not going to put someone on the show that people are just going to be like, whatever. It's just a game. I'm just going to go tell my friend and ruin the entire show.
Yeah.
No, it's not like that. But also, one of my favorite banishment exits was Phaedra
Yeah.
because I was like so sure that she was a traitor. And at that point, a lot of people were like, okay, fine. Even her own Bravo, friends were like,
Right.
she's a traitor. So
Right.
whenever she stood up there and said, I am the most faithful, and she paused, all of our faces dropped. I was freaking out. I was like, oh no. And she's like,
Right.
traitor. Oh, it was so good. I mean,
Yeah.
it gives me goosebumps right now because Phaedra's
Yeah.
fabulous. But like that was a really crazy exit because these were all genuine reactions.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of which, do you feel like of all the traders, was Phaedra the strongest in your opinion, or was there
Yeah.
someone else? Yeah.
No, I thought she was the strongest. And honestly, I said this, and it was a hot take on Twitter. People were very divided by this, which most people on Twitter are.
Yep.
I said that I've seen all the shows and all the traders, and I thought that Phaedra was the best one. And people were like, no way, Suri was undetected. And I think Suri was fabulous. I really do, because it's hard to get by in the game undetected like that. And she made it to the
Yeah.
end. She was great. My thing about Phaedra, my argument for her being the best trader is because she had all television people there. And it wasn't just like, half not television, half television people. So these are very strong personalities, people going at her constantly, the biggest gamers from every show going
Yeah.
at her at the round table. And she kept her cool, calm, collected, her composure. That is tough. That's difficult to
Yeah.
do. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I don't know how she did it.
She,
So she's fabulous.
yeah, she's a veteran, and she, obviously on her Housewives moments has put up with all kinds of heat and fire. So she was able to take it really well. I feel though that conversation between her and Sheree really broke her in a
Yeah.
way where it felt like, and again, maybe it was the edit, but Sheree saying like, "Are you a traitor?" And like, you're my homegirl for all these
30
years, like
years.
30 years, like, come on. And like, she just, it seemed like she was like, I can't keep up this lie to a friend. And it was almost devastating that then she had to go into the round table and then reveal it right after.
I
It felt
know.
like so sad.
But this is why I think that the Traitors is so incredible to watch, because everyone really had like a journey, right? And so I just thought that Phaedra was the most strong person ever as a viewer when I was watching it back, because I wasn't there in that moment. I didn't know that happened. I'm watching just like you. And so
Yeah.
it was actually nice for me to see this moment where she had that softness and she was kind of breaking in the
Yeah.
whole realm of being a traitor. So I thought that was very interesting and I liked it actually.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice to see her, especially coming off of the, I don't have to kiss your ass for a rose line, and, some of these iconic things that she was saying. I think
Yeah.
to also see that like the game got to her too, and
Yeah.
that was wonderful.
Hmm.
So, I mean, congratulations on the
Thank
win,
you.
because it was really truly, like I said, one of these, like, it seemed like a very magical moment, and we had followed you on this journey. But I want to know, are we going to see you again on TV? Because we've got to keep your, queen of reality TV. You've got to like come back to us. So what's next?
So nothing planned yet, no contract signed. But I hope that
Yeah,
I want to do other television shows. I'm just like
good.
on a high from this one. I think it was so awesome. It was a great experience. I absolutely want to do other shows. Who knows? Maybe it'll be something in New Orleans, or maybe it'll be something, another game show, a strategy, which I always love.
Yeah.
I am just completely open to all opportunities. But another thing that I'm doing that's kind of cool, there's this thing called the Cruise of Deception, and it's like
Hmm.
a traitor slash murder mystery cruise. And I'm going to be on it, and Janelle,
Oh,
Peter,
wow.
Fergie, Sandra, some people from the first season. So that's going to be happening. I believe it's going to be April 2025, but I'm going to be posting it on my Instagram for details. And you can be on our
Amazing.
team. So you join the cruise, you can be on people's individual teams. And
Oh,
so, yeah, it's kind of neat.
that's amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know that the Bravo fans are calling for you to lead the New Orleans Housewives edition.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
so
I'm open. I'm definitely open to that. There's been talk of a Housewives of New Orleans. We'll see. I think it would be fabulous because the city in itself is a character, right?
yeah.
And we do so many things. Like I was at a charity event today with my girlfriend Tamika Lee, who was in Southern Charm, New Orleans. It
Hmm.
only lasted 2 seasons, but she's a star.
Yep.
So we were together today. I think that it would be a lot of drama.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I hope that, whether it's like Southern Charm or whether it's its own thing, I feel like that you do belong on TV. So I would love to
Thank
see you back.
you.
And I've
Thank you so
also been
much.
hoping that we're going to get like the Las Vegas homecoming, that they've been doing these like reunions of the real worlds.
Oh yeah, that would have been so much fun. And you know what? I mean, my some of my cast, just like Irulan, Arissa, Steven, and Bryn, were actually at my house last year. We did like a mini reunion. Frank couldn't
Amazing.
come because he was like working, and I think Alton was working as well. But yeah, we all still talk. We all get together. I might actually be going to Irulan's anniversary party in New York soon. So we're all close.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing to hear after
Mhm.
all this time
A
too, that
long
you
time.
guys
Yeah.
stay in touch. Well, this was so fun to chat with you. And, like I
Thank you.
said, I've been waiting all season to have this conversation. I was like, oh, I'm going to have her on as soon as she gets murdered. It's bound to happen.
You were like,
And
this
then,
girl's overdue for a murder.
but I'm so glad that I had to wait because it was worthwhile and it was such good television. So thank you for doing this. Before we wrap, tell people where they can find you and stay up to date and continue to give you the flowers and due that you so like clearly deserve.
Thank you so much. On Instagram, I am at Trishelle C, and same name on Twitter, X as well.
Mhm.
I promise I'll get on TikTok someday. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I have an account, but I'm really bad at that stuff.
Yeah.
But yes, check my Instagram so you can possibly go on the cruise of deception. There's a lot of time. It's going to be over a year from now. So you'll have time to save if you want to do that. Be so
Yeah.
much fun. Be on my team because I'm a winner. You don't even have to like me, but I'm a winner.
Yeah,
So
we're gonna have to get the details of that because I mean I feel like so many people are gonna want to be on Team Trishelle, so
I
they're gonna
hope
have to figure
so.
that out. Yeah,
Thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you.
of course. Well, thank you again for stopping by,
Of course.
and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Appreciate it. Nice to talk to you.
Anytime. Oh, the thrill was all mine, guys. This was amazing. Don't forget to go follow Trishelle to keep up with everything that she's got going on. And you can find me. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, X. I'm at CM Vetrano there to hear all of your comments. So let me know what you thought of the episode. And until next time, bye.